looks good.
Okay, so welcome. Today we're going to do a high poly assignment. We're just going to try to do this off the cuff and see how well it comes out. This is what I'm going to more or less try to make to a certain extent. So we're going to see how well we get with that. So it could be that we have to break this up into different videos, but let's go ahead and get started. So the first place I'm going to get started is I like these little round elements right here. So I'm going to go ahead and start constructing this face right here of the plinth and then go from there. So first and foremost, I am going to start by creating it big. It doesn't matter the scale, so I'm going to work with a size that I can work with. So I'm going to go ahead and do a cylinder, turn on S to snap so I have a good location. That right there is a good amount to start out with. Doesn't really matter right now. Let's see where we're at. Good, and then so to kind of make things easier on me for the sake of just easiness, I'm going to go ahead and take off the height segments on this. Turn down the height a tiny bit on the side. And then I'm going to turn on, if you can see something called cap segments, when you turn that on, that gives you a cap. So in this case, I want to have it where I can split it down the center and down the side. So I'm going to go ahead and raise this amount of sides of this. Boom, 2, good. That's good, as you can see. So we're going to work from this side and then go from there and such. So first things first is I'm going to go take this and convert it to an editable poly. I don't need my material, so I'm going to go ahead and close that. And then I'm going to go ahead and delete this face, this portion. And I'm going to go ahead and delete this portion right there because we don't need that. And then after I do that, I'm going to go ahead and set my pivot somewhere so I can go ahead and mirror this and kind of get all of it at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and in effect pivot. And I'm going to move that pivot to, let's say, right there. Good. And then I'm going to go into the mirror option. And why did that not work? That's weird. Let's try it again. Effect pivot. See, sometimes that's why Max is a little tricky. See, effect pivot only. Weird. Ah, fuck you. Okay, it's not working, so I'm just going to move it myself. Doesn't matter. Sorry, that needs to be an instance. Clunky start. So I'm going to go do mirror. And I'm going to do instance. Okay. And then I'm going to lock my selection and I'm going to go ahead and bring it here because that seems like a good place to start. And then I'm going to go do the same and mirror it, but this time downwards. And again, it's going to be an instance, so good. That sounds good for me. Take it all the way to the bottom down here. And then this one right here, if you go and actually instance an instance, it's still going to be connected to the original one. So I'm going to go ahead hit X on that one. Lock my selection. And let me know if by some chance this stops sharing at some moment. So as you can see now, I have the basic start of where I want my mesh to the basic shape that I want to do. So I'm going to go outside in perspective mode. And so I'm going to zoom in. And I'm going to start extruding edges so I can give me these shapes and sort of close in that little area where it's going to be the decorative element. So first things first, let's see, what's a good easy way to do this? Let's try this. I'm going to go into edge mode, and then I'm going to take these polygons right here, and I'm going to extrude them. No, sorry, see? So my mistake, I have to go and delete the back faces of this, so that was stupid of me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Delete. As you can see, it's been deleted in all the ones since it's an instance. Good. And I'm going to start by taking these and extruding these outwards. So I'm going to go select these 3 edges. Sorry. And extrude them to a point where you can see it sort of more or less meets. And then I'm going to go up here to select an uniform scale, and I'm going to go ahead and do this so they are. So it's been flattened, and I do this on one axis, and then after I flatten it like this, then I can go here and turn on with snap on, and I can snap it to right that point. So that's good, that's lining up. And then I am going to do this same, what's a good way to do this so it's kind of comes out clean and such. You know what, I could actually just take these right here as well. Oops, sorry. Turn off snap. Scale these because it's high poly, so really You don't have to be like smooth flowing meshes as long as the smoothed out result works. So scale these again, just like I did with the other ones. I'm going to go, and I'm going to be moving a lot through these windows, so hopefully, good thing about this is a video is that you can stop it. And in this occasion, since I'm in perspective, I want to change the snap to 3D, lock my selection, and then see. Sometimes a little tricky like that. Boom, cool. And then all these right here, select them all in vertice mode, weld them together like this. And then as you can see now I have the makings of this sort of shape right here, which is going to be good. So after I do that, I'm going to take this edge right there and turning off snap, Z-axis, and I'm going to move it all the way down here. Cool. So that's a good way to sort of to get started and such. So now that I'm happy with this, I think I can go ahead and take these right here and weld them together. Hopefully it's not going to give me a lot of problems. So I'm going to take these three, 1, 2, 3, and then, I'm sorry, you have to do it individually. So since it's an instance, you have to go to here and say editable poly, right click, editable poly, right click, editable poly. Maybe I should have turned off Steam. And so now that's good, I can go ahead and take this mesh and I'm going to go ahead and attach all of these. Attach, click, click, and click. And then these, as you can see, I didn't quite align them correctly, so I will go into vertice mode by pressing 1, uniform scale, just on the Z-axis, and then I'll do the ones for the vertical ones, uniform scale those also, and then so once I have those selected, if I hit shift, hold shift and drag again, I do the whole selection, and then when I do weld, it should have welded them together. But just to make sure, let's go ahead and press 3 and go to border, and then as you can see, they have been welded together, so that works nicely. So let's see, on the reference, it seems like it has a little bit of space to the side, so I'm going to go to the top, and I'm going to reduce the depth of this so it's not as much. So select all the back faces, good, nice, and control save just for good measure. So good, I'm happy with that, so I'm going to go ahead and take this mesh now, turn on snap with S, and put it to somewhere where I can really start to work with. So let's see, it's 4 long, so I'm going to need, so what I'm going to do is, no, it's still not quite ready to the point where it's ready for me to go ahead and change it or to make instances of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the border on this, as you can see, lock it by pressing spacebar, turn off snap, and then I am going to expand it so I can make a copy so I have sort of that shape where I am. Let's see, function F3. Sort of kind of like that shape that I'm going for, of course. It's not perfect now, but once we, of course, move it out and get it all worked out, it'll look fine. So as you can see, and as you can see now that I've extruded, it sort of gives me problems in several places because when it extrudes outwards, like over here to the corner, that's going to be problematic. So to fix those, I will go into vertice mode. And an easy way to do it is just select all these right here on the side, on the side, on the side. And then I will uniform scale them so they're on more or less the same place. And you know what, I could actually, well, no, that's good. Keep that for now. And then I can do the same for here. I'll select these two, control, control, and scale these so they kind of have that nice uniform shape. Good. Hopefully this will come out good in the end. Control save, and you know what, I can't see this material for shit, so let's go ahead and have something that's a little more visible. That's good. So as you can see now, I have the very basic makings of that shape. And I also want to enclose it off a little bit because it is what I call an indent in the actual plinth itself. So I will go and hit edge mode. I'll select that little top edge right there. And then I will select that little top edge right there by hitting control or shift, sorry. This one and this one, which is not letting me select it for some stupid reason. And then if you see, let's see, what's the best way to do this? You know what, the best way to do this is actually take this face right here, control these two, lock your mesh, S for snapping, go to 3%, and then go up here, and then just drag it, and look, that's closed off, and you do the same for the other ones. Lock it, hold shift, copy this one, lock it, hold shift, and then take this one, Z to zoom if you want to center it on your item, and then hold shift. And then now I want to go take all of those meshes, all those vertices that I created, and weld it so it's nothing open, so I select all of them. And then if I have weld on at a very low threshold, 0.003 like I said it, as you can see, it only welds the right ones. And then as you can see now we have the first making of that initial shape that we want to work with and such. So again, we're going to do, let's see. Yeah, I think we're going to do some extrusions again so we can get more shape in this item. So I'm going to go ahead and press 2 to go to edges. Select all of these, control, 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 control. You know what, I'll do border, it's easier like that, and then we'll make similar adjustments. So I'll hit border. I will go into front view, lock my selection, expand it outwards. So now as you can see, now I have that indentation plus the sides of it. So I want to adjust my mesh just a tiny bit more so it's a little bit more cleaner. So again, these vertices, fuck off, these vertices right here, turn off snap with S, control, control, control. Normally if you just select these 4 rows like this, for example, and then scale it, you can get it mostly right. So since we're not doing precision, we're not going to go and tweak like that all the time. So I'm going to take these and sort of scale them with a like this. Cool, that one's done. And as you can see, they all work this time. And then I go ahead and do the same for these. That row, scale these so they're a little bit more cleaner. Good. Nice. And I am happy with that at the moment. So the next thing we're going to do now is, let's see, we're going to go ahead and take this and we're going to instance it. We're going to scale it so it fits within the grid so it's easier to work with. So let's just go ahead and isolate it for now so we don't see the reference pictures. And this is where the freeform deformation like modifier comes into. As you can see, it's not quite there, a little bit missing towards the top. So I'm going to go to my modify menu, scroll down, and I'm going to go freeform 2. And I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, you can snap these points to the vertices whenever you use this. So if I take my control point, this one, yes you can, there you go. I snap it there, snap it there. No, sorry, I didn't select all of them. All of them, snap it to the side. All of these, snap it to the side. And this one, and snap it to the side. Cool, and as you can see now, again, our item is working within the grid, so that's exactly what we needed. And then collapse and save. So now I am going to go ahead and take this, let's see, it's 1, 2, 3, 6 long. So I'm going to go ahead and, you know what's easier, just fucking do this. Lock my item, hold shift. Oh, sorry. Hold shift and then make a copy along the axis where it's 90 degrees. That's good. Instance, I want that. And then with snap on to 2.5, I'm going to take this little edge right here. And I'm going to snap this to here. And then I'm going to make 2 more copies and do exactly that. So I'm going to take this. God damn it, exactly what I'm doing on camera when I fail to perform. Holding shift, again, 90 degrees, instance, good. Select and move, select that one right here, boom. And one more, good. And then I'm going to take this one right here and snap it to right here, and then save for good measure, because I don't want to fuck this up. So as you can see now, I have the makings of a plinth. I'm pretty happy about it, but you know what? I think the height could be a little bit more respectable, so I'm going to take the original one, and I'm going to take these right here, and of course, maybe what's easier than this. You know what, I'll just go ahead and manually raise it and it'll do the same. So I will set this to snap, pressing S, I'll move it to right here, and then I'll take the midpoint, kind of move it to there. That's a little bit more respectable in terms of plinths go, so that's okay, good. Get a save. So the next thing we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and make some bevels, so whenever we smooth this, some of this inner element is going to sort of maintain its shape. So in this occasion, I want to bevel these inward edges when it comes to this. So I'm going to go ahead and select this one, and if you go right here to loop, that'll select all of those, and hit Control, collect this, hit loop again, this. You could actually go and select all the ones that you know are going to be connected when you loop it. So I'm going to click that one, that one, that one, and that one by hitting Control to select them. And then once I select them all, if you see if I hit loop, there I have the shape that I want to work with, and I am going to go ahead and bevel that. So I'm going to go find bevel. Where are you? Bevel, 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 bevel. Am I missing it? No, you know what? It's chamfer. That's what I'm thinking. And then if I go to chamfer right here, you can see now it's giving me an edge, and this is going to give me a harder edge for me to be able to work with when I do this and such. But I have an idea. I wonder if it's better if I select this so I can make it cleaner and have it to be worked with as quads and such. So I will try this, hope that it works by selecting this inner edge right here. Could be that it doesn't, I don't know. And then if I go to chamfer, as you can see now, it's kind of quadded it for me, but as I can see, I have to do it right here as well. So I would select this one, Control R to rotate, Control that, Control R to rotate again, and then find those little areas where you need to chamfer it. So I will hit Control and right there, and then when I chamfer it, now it's sort of keeping to a quad, so that's going to help me to be able to keep that shape. So the next thing I want to do is I want to make a cut in the inside so this detail doesn't blur out, because let's go ahead and save this and add Turbo Smooth to see what happens when I do it. I think a good thing to do is while you work is to keep adding the Turbo Smooth so you can kind of get an idea. So as you can see, I don't have enough cuts to be able to keep the shape clean and such. So I'm going to do, for example, if I click on this little center one right here, and if I do ring, and again Z to center, as you can see, it selected the whole item. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it down the center, and to do that you do Control Shift E, and as you can see I did a cut down there. And then if I go and I do chamfer, it's going to get these down to the center like this. So that means that when I go again and add Turbo Smooth, at least that element is a little bit cleaner than the other one. So I'm going to hit undo on that, take that off, save it, and let's see, where else could I use another cut? This one, I think this little space right here could use another cut too, so I'm going to go do ring, and since it's quadded, as you can see, it's all around, good. Control Shift E, and then I'm going to chamfer it again. Whoops, sorry. Chamfer. Right there. That should be enough. So, and again, this is going to be a lot of this in this video, is this back and forth. Turbo Smooth. As you can see now, it's starting to have that clean look that it should have. So that's good. Let's Control Z. See? So let's see, where else could we use a little bit of more cuts so this thing comes out a little bit cleaner? You know what, it actually could be the moment to actually take this and just convert it into one mesh, because the cuts are going to have to be in other places, and it's going to be a bigger pain in the ass to weld it together after I've done more of these cuts. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go and save this in case I'm not happy about this. Hopefully that's not going to be the result. And they then take all of these right here, right click editable poly, that breaks the link to the instance, right click editable poly, and right click editable poly. And as always, like a broken record, save, select the original, And then you go and attach, attach, attach. And if you select all your vertices again, as long as your weld threshold is low, you click on like this. You can see 1536 to 1508. Good. And let's go see if by pressing 3 for borders, if there's anything open. Just the tops like it should be. That's good. So what we are going to do now, just to give this help preserve these two shapes, for example, is we're going to go ahead and we're going to make an extrusion upwards here. So you can have that cut so it preserves that nice squarey little shape. So I will press S to turn off my snap so it doesn't go to a crazy place. Extrude it slightly upwards. See, and I didn't want to do that. I got both borders selected, so this time I'll select just one. Extrude outwards. And then select the top one. Hold Shift, extrude outwards. Control Save as always, because this program is unstable as fuck. And then if I try Turbo Smooth, and as you can see, it's starting to give me a closer result to what I want, is that hard rocky shape, but not completely. So we're going to do more of another chamfer again. And this time we're going to do it along the edges right here so we could have that as nice and clean. So if I click on 1, Control 2, all these little corners, 3, and then 4. And then when I hit loop, as you can see, I have all of them selected now. And let's see, did I get that top one? That's weird. Why didn't I select this one? Ah, that's why, because it's a weird cut. So like I said, this is a high poly mesh, so you don't have to go, unless you see something really horrendous in your mesh, once you smooth it, you can just add these cuts to the mesh as much as you like, and you don't have to worry about cleaning it up, because let's say you're going to use this is the high poly version, and then you create a low poly version. So the high poly one doesn't need to be so clean as long as the low poly one is, and the shape of it follows the shape of the high poly one enough. So let's see, that's good. Control, let's see that I do all of them. Nope, the high, press C to enter. Nah, you see, you always have to be diligent when it comes to 3D, because sometimes you miss something, and if you miss one tiny thing and then you keep going, you're going to fuck up your whole mesh, and you're going to have to go back a ton of steps, and I don't want anyone to do that. So that, and then that seems all of it. And then if I do chamfer again, see that little space right there normally would be problematic, but in this case I don't think it's going to be too much and such. It's still a squad. So after I do that, I Control Save, and then I go to Turbo Smooth. And then as you can see now, we're starting to get a little bit closer to that really, really nice clean shape that we want, but we're probably going to have to do some more. So this center area needs to be a little bit cleaner, so I can show you how to do that. So in this occasion, once it's at Edible Poly, and I'm saving like a motherfucker when I do this, so I'm going to select all of these right here. No, sorry. And you know what, to make it, what's easier way to do this? No. I go to just to select, so I don't select and move, and then I go inside and make a selection in there, hold Control, make a selection in there, hold Control, make a selection in there. So I'm basically grabbing these interfaces, and I'm going to do the same on the other windows. Hold Control, drag and zoom there, drag inside there, drag inside there, a tiny bit up more. Cool, cool, Z, that's good, good, good. All of them are selected, right? So what could I do? Ah, you see, I missed some. So Control, Duke, 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 Duke. Control R to rotate. Control to select again. And see, I just missed all of these. Go to turn that off. Select and don't move if you're curious to what that is. And Duke, Duke. Control R, good, good, good. Nice. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bevel this so it gives it a little bit of a outline. And the thing about bevel, it gives you two options. It gives you the option to extrude like this, which I don't want. So basically, when I start to lower this value, you can see what it starts to do. You see it starts to give me like a little bit of a border. So that little bit of border gives me that sort of a cut all around. So when I go ahead and turbo smooth it, it looks, hopefully it's going to look good. So I'm going to hit OK. Good. Control S. And as you can see now, we are a little bit closer to that shape, so that is really fucking fantastic. So I'm going to turn that off, and now we're going to start to build it upwards, because if I go and unisolate my mesh, as you can see, my reference has already exploded beyond the size that it already should be. And so I'm going to start expanding this upwards and downwards so we can give it some of that shape and such. So I'm going to go and isolate this again down here. And then this one, I'm going to click 3 for border, which I didn't. And then I'm going to hold shift, take that, extrude it downwards, and then I'm going to lock it, and then non-uniform scale like this. And then I am going to go and give it a base, cool. And I'm going to do the same for the top, but not as quite as the other one. We're going to do something a little different with that one. So this one, I'm just going to hold it in place. I'm going to change that to uniform scale, and with key space bar to lock it, I'm going to expand it outwards, so it's just going to go upwards. And then I want it to have this little shape like this. And this is the part where I'll just do it how I like. So one more extrusion, and take that extrusion, lower it like this. And I want to make this to have a sort of a gradual curve to this right here. So I'm going to go and press 2 for edge, select all of these, Control Shift E, space to lock my selection, scale this down a little bit, cool, I like that. And as you can see, I already now have the makings of the shape, but as you can see, it didn't quite do it as it's supposed to. So I have to go on this and scale it on the x-axis, cool. And that's kind of more or less cool. And then I want to close off the top here. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go to border, click on border. And then when I do cap, that's one way to do it. So let's go ahead to go ahead and close this off so the mesh is nice and quadded. So what I do here is I press 1 to go to vertices. Then I select the 2 corresponding ones like this, connect, 2 corresponding ones like this, connect, the 2 corresponding ones like this, connect, and so forth, and so on. Oh, shit, sorry. Should have let go. Connect. And then do the same here for these 2 little small ones. Connect. And these 2. And then I hit save. And then now I'm going to do a cut on the mesh so I can do these of the ones that go in this direction. So instead of connect, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on snapping. So because you need to snap the cut. And then if you scroll down, if you can see cut right here, if I start with this one, top one right here, and then I go all the way down here, 1 cut, and sometimes you have to rotate to make sure that it's in a good place, because then you can accidentally make too much others. And then again, cut again, start with the first target, finish off at the end, start with the first target, finish it off the end, and so forth, and so on, and do this one too. Hopefully that's not going to cause me any problems. We'll see. This one too, and cut. So as you can see now, the top has been sealed for this, and now it's nicely quadded. So when I hit Turbo Smooth, we're going to go see what the results are, and then we're going to get an idea where we can start to make more cuts to make this look nicer. So I'm going to go to Turbo Smooth. And the reason I just don't leave the modifier on is sometimes if you go back and forth, you could have instability issues with Max. So that's why I like to usually turn it off. But as you can see, starting to get a little bit closer to the shapes that I want. This part right here, I want it to be sharper, the same for the top. So I hit undo, Control S as always, because you have to save like a motherfucker. And then I'm going to go to right here and then hit loop. And as you can see, it has the whole one selected. And I'm going to take this chamfer. Oops, sorry. Chamfer, yeah. To do my little first cut right there to give me that hard angle whenever I do. And as you can see, I don't have to do a lot of crazy cuts all over. So you just need to have the right cut at the right location so it kind of turbo smooths the right way. So I'm going to take that one right here, loop this, and then chamfer to give it the same value as the top one so it's consistent. And then If I want to make it so when it becomes a really nice hard edge, then I go across take one of these, hit loop. Oh shit, that's not right, sorry. Ring, so it takes that whole ring. Control Shift E to make the cut. And then I'm gonna hand chamfer it myself and take it right up towards the top there. So as you can see, I don't need to make a cut in here to get that smooth shape, as long as the cuts are in the places where the corners turn, where the silhouette is. So I'm going to do that for that. And let's see. And I'm going to do that for the bottom. So I'm going to take this one right here, loop that, chamfer that. That's good. And then I'm going to take one, turn off chamfer, take one of these below here, do ring, Control Shift E. And after I do Control Shift E to the cut, turn S to turn off the snap, lower it to the bottom like this. So now that's a nice little cut here. And I will do one more because I really want this to have a really nice hard edge. Okay, so this right here is an occasion where I need a cut, and I can show you a problem that comes up with 3D Studio Max that Blender doesn't have. So I'm going to do ring, Control Shift E, and then when I move it down, I don't want my mesh to do that. I want it to actually lower it down, so I give it the border right here. So I'm going to do Control S, and if you lower your menu in 3D Studio Max, if you see the edit geometry right there, constraints, that means that if I keep this to edge right here, that means that when I move this mesh, my vertices are going to move, but my mesh is not going to. So that means I could do complicated cuts like this, so I'll do it again. I'll go and do ring, Control Shift E. And since it's still turned on, you always have to be aware that it's still turned on. So I'm doing that cut right there. And fuck it, let's just do one more here, just so Control Shift E. Cool. And let's see. So I have an idea. Let's see. I think I'm going to have to do another cut up here. So again, with that constraint still turned on, I'm going to do ring, Control Shift E. And then take that and drag it towards the top. And one more here, ring, Control Shift E. And then drag it to the bottom. Cool. And then if I turn this off, I'm going to go ahead and do Control Save. Cool. And then let's try Turbo Smooth. So as you can see, now we have really nice hard edges on this, and we are ready to start adding more details for decoration on top of it. And the thing is, whenever you create a high poly item that you're going to use for baking and such, you don't have to actually do it as one complete object, because that's a pain in the ass, and you can just actually make some of these details, and you can float some of these details like on the surface. Like for example, this little element, if we do something like this floral pattern right here, there's no reason why you need to cut that into the mesh. You could do it separately, lay it on top. As long as your low poly mesh has that detail made into the mesh, then when you do the baking process, it's not going to be much of a problem and such. So let's see what else we can do to make this mesh a little bit more interesting at least. Let's see. Delete that. What can we do? What can we do? Let's go ahead and maybe do a cut up, some sort of a cut in the center here, so it could have like a small little ridge cut into it and have a little bit of nice shadow detail. So when I'm going to do that, I'm going to go right here, select this row, Control Shift E, and then I am going to go to expand my view. I'm going to do chamfer. I'm going to create that sort of, this is where that indentation is going to be. And then again, select that row, ring, Control Shift E. And then what I'm going to do after I do Control Shift E, I'm going to go make sure that my uniform scale is on, space to lock my selection, and then I'm going to go scale it so I can have that. Oh, you see what happens since I left my constraint on. That means that my mesh is still going to be going along edge mode. So I'm going to go down here to edit geometry, turn that off to none. And so with the selection locked, when I do this, as you can see, it scales. And then I'm going to go and chamfer that, so it gives me that inward indentation like this. So let's hold. Fuck, I hope I did it correctly. My feeling is that I didn't. Let's see. That looks good. That looks good. That looks good. Yo, I did do it correctly. Cool. So now that I did that little cut inside, I need to make sure that it has the right amount of cuts so this thing, when I turbo smooth it, it looks nice. So again, I'm going to go here and select these two right here, hit loop, and then if I do chamfer again, and then you see, sometimes it's a little too unprecise, so sometimes it's best to bring in down the value like this. And let's say 0.03. No, you see that's too much. Add a 0 to that. 9, maybe let's try 0.2. 2. That. Hit OK. Confirm, and now I have my cut there so that my mesh is not going to give me an issue. So I'm going to go to the center one as well. It's going to need that cut. Ring again, Control-Shift-E. And then if I hit chamfer, oh, sorry. That's why it's best sometimes to lock your selection. Now I have chamfer just right. That's cool. That should be enough to give it to me. And let me see if I need to do another cut and such. All right, let's go ahead and try Turbo Smooth and see what happens. Turn off Turbo Smooth. Take my, oh, you see my UI disappears when I have my video on, so it's kind of a pain in the ass. So if I do that, that's not too bad and realistic. And if you want to kind of give it a light to have an idea how this thing's going to shade, if you go to your lighting options, you do skylight, photometric to standard, and this will give you a sort of general lighting that will simulate the lighting inside the engine. So if I leave it like this, as you can see there, as it settles down and does the calculation, you kind of get an idea of how this mesh is going to look and such. So right now, Christian, I'm going to go ahead and put a pause to this because uploading this to YouTube 30 minutes at a time is better. So I'm going to go ahead and put a pause to this. I'm going to do save. And then after that, we're going to go and tackle to some of the decorative stuff in it and such. So stop.